Have you ever noticed that the moment your life becomes quiet, your mind becomes loud? When the world finally slows down, when there is nothing urgent to fix or respond to, a restless voice appears inside your head and refuses to stop. It comments, it worries, it replays old scenes, it imagines future disasters, and it asks questions you did not invite. Many people assume this means something is broken inside them. They believe peace is supposed to feel silent, and because silence never arrives, they conclude that they are failing at calmness, failing at meditation, failing at themselves. But what if the noise was never the problem? What if the real suffering begins at a much quieter moment? A moment so subtle it usually goes unnoticed. The moment when a thought appears and you unconsciously say, "This is me." The moment when worry speaks and you answer, "I am worried." The moment when fear arises and you say, "I am afraid." In that instant, the mind does not just produce content, it takes the throne. If your mind jumps like a monkey, that does not mean you are weak or undisciplined. It means your nervous system is alive. The human mind evolved to scan for danger, predict outcomes, and keep the body safe. A mind that does not jump would be far more concerning. The tragedy is not that thoughts appear. The tragedy is that we confuse movement with identity. This confusion is ancient, and it is beautifully illustrated in Journey to the West. Sun Wukong is fast, clever, and uncontrollable. He reacts before thinking, challenges authority, and believes his instincts are always correct. But Wukong never travels alone. Walking beside him is Tang Sanzang, the monk who does not fly, does not shout, and does not compete with the monkey's energy. Tang Sanzang does not attempt to suppress Wukong, nor does he worship him. He sees him clearly. He knows the monkey's power, but he also knows its place. This relationship is not just a story, it is a map of the inner world. Wukong represents the reactive mind, the part of us designed to move fast and speak loudly. Tang Sanzang represents awareness, the capacity to observe without becoming what is observed. The problem of modern suffering is not the presence of Wukong. It is the absence of Tang Sanzang in our daily experience. Modern neuroscience quietly confirms this ancient insight. Researchers describe a system in the brain called the default mode network, which becomes active when attention turns inward. When we think about ourselves, our past, our future, and our identity. This network is essential for planning and self-reflection, but studies show that when we become over-identified with it, anxiety and rumination increase. The thoughts themselves are not harmful. The harm comes from believing that the voice narrating life is who we are. This is why forcing the mind to be silent often creates more tension. You cannot silence a system that evolved to think. But something remarkable happens when awareness recognizes thought as an object rather than an identity. The thought still appears, but it no longer carries authority. It speaks, but it no longer commands. Buddhist teachings return to this point again and again. Form is not self. Feeling is not self. Thought is not self. These are not abstract ideas meant for philosophy. They are precise instructions pointing to a single mistake. When thought is mistaken for self, suffering follows naturally. When thought is seen clearly as movement, something loosens without effort. The monkey continues to jump. That does not change. What changes is who's holding the map. And this small shift, barely noticeable at first, is where the journey truly begins. Here is the second layer, the part most people skip because it feels too subtle to matter. Yet, it is the exact point where transformation either begins or never happens at all. Once you understand that you are not the monkey, a new question quietly appears. If I am not the thought, then what exactly am I? And why does this understanding seem clear for a moment, only to disappear the next time anxiety returns? To answer this, we need to look closely at how identification actually works. Identification is not a belief you consciously choose. It is a reflex. A thought arises, and before awareness has time to register it, the nervous system reacts as if the thought were a command. This reaction happens in the body first. The chest tightens, the breath shortens, the jaw clenches. Only after the body reacts does the story continue in the mind. This is why simply telling yourself, "I am not my thoughts," often changes nothing. The body has already accepted the message as real. In Journey to the West, the golden headband placed on Wukong does not control him through force. It tightens only when a spell is recited. In the same way, the mind is not restrained by thoughts themselves, but by the unconscious repetition of identification. Each time a thought is believed, the band tightens slightly. Each time it is seen clearly, the band loosens. Modern neuroscience helps us understand this mechanism. When a thought is interpreted as personally relevant, the amygdala and related threat systems activate. This pulls attention away from the observing networks of the brain and locks it into reaction. But studies on mindfulness and meta-awareness show something crucial. When attention shifts from the content of thought to the process of noticing, activity in the default mode network decreases and regulatory regions of the brain become more active. Nothing is suppressed. The relationship changes. This brings us to the first practice, and it is deceptively simple. Do not try to stop thoughts. Do not analyze them. Do not replace them. Instead, learn to recognize the exact moment identification begins. This moment is not mental. It is somatic. The body always reacts first. Tightness is the signal. Contraction is the alarm. Here is your first checkpoint. During the next day, do not monitor your thoughts. Monitor your body. Each time you notice tension appear without a clear external cause, pause. Ask nothing. Fix nothing. Simply acknowledge identification is happening. If you can notice this without judgment, awareness has already returned. In Buddhist language, this is called sati, remembrance. Not remembering ideas, but remembering your position. The Buddha compared the mind to a wild animal tied to a post. The post is not force, it is awareness. The animal circles, pulls, resists, and eventually settles, not because it was defeated, but because it was no longer followed. This is where many people become confused. They believe awareness must feel calm or expansive, but awareness often first appears as neutrality, a simple knowing, no commentary, no conclusion, just seeing. This neutrality is not indifference. It is clarity without entanglement. Here is the second checkpoint. After noticing identification, observe what happens next. Does the thought weaken? Does the body soften slightly? Or does the mind try to reclaim control by explaining the experience? There is no correct outcome. The checkpoint is not about success. It is about seeing the sequence clearly. Seeing breaks the loop. Over time, something subtle shifts. Thoughts still arise, but they arrive inside a wider space. The space was always there. It was simply overlooked. In the journey to the West, this is the moment when Tang Sanzang does not need to chant the tightening spell. Wukong still moves, but he listens. Power remains, but wisdom now holds the reins. This is not mastery, it is alignment. Awareness does not dominate the mind, it contextualizes it. The monkey is no longer the leader of the journey. He becomes a companion again. And this prepares the ground for the final layer, where awareness is not only recognized in stillness, but carried directly into daily life, decision-making, and emotional storms without retreating inward. If you feel that this process is slow, that is a sign you are approaching it correctly. The deepest changes are quiet. In the next part, we will explore how this awareness stabilizes, how it survives stress, and how it becomes the ground you stand on, rather than an experience you visit. This is the final layer, and it is where understanding becomes lived reality. Many people can recognize awareness during quiet moments, during meditation, or while listening to a calm voice. But the real test is not silence. The real test is movement, stress, conflict, fatigue. This is where identification tries to return, not as a thought, but as urgency. In Journey to the West, there comes a point where Tang Sanzang no longer needs to constantly correct Wukong. The journey itself becomes the teacher. Obstacles appear, danger arises, and Wukong still reacts, but something fundamental has shifted. He no longer believes every impulse is truth. He listens, he pauses, he checks. This is not obedience. It is maturity. The same transition happens internally. At first, awareness feels like something you access. Later, it becomes the background against which everything happens. Neuroscience describes this as a shift from effortful monitoring to trait-level awareness. The brain no longer needs to repeatedly activate control. Recognition becomes faster, recovery becomes gentler. Here is the third practice, and it is the most important. Do not wait for calm to recognize awareness. Learn to recognize it inside disturbance. When irritation appears, do not ask why. When anxiety tightens the body, do not seek resolution. Instead, ask one question only. what is aware of this? Not as a thought, but as a direction of attention. This is your third checkpoint. Notice whether awareness disappears during stress or simply becomes overlooked. Awareness does not leave, attention does. The moment attention remembers where it belongs, stability returns without force. In Buddhist texts, this is described as resting in the witness without clinging to the witnessed. In the seen, there is only the seen. In the felt, there is only the felt. This does not mean emotional numbness. It means no extra identity is added to experience. Pain may still arise, fear may still visit, but suffering no longer compounds itself through resistance. Over time, you may notice something unexpected. Thoughts lose their urgency faster. Emotions complete their cycle without lingering. Decisions become simpler, not because you know more, but because fewer voices are competing for control. This is not detachment from life. It is intimacy without entanglement. The final checkpoint is the simplest and the most revealing. Ask yourself, at the end of the day, not how calm you were, but how quickly you remembered. Not whether the monkey jumped, but whether you followed him. Progress is not measured by silence. It is measured by recovery. In the final chapters of Journey to the West, Wukong becomes the victorious fighting Buddha, not because he stopped being powerful, but because power was no longer confused with identity. The monkey did not disappear. He found his place. Your mind will continue to think. Your nervous system will continue to protect. Life will continue to challenge you. None of this is a problem. The journey was never about removing the monkey. It was about remembering who is walking beside him. And once that is seen, even briefly, the path unfolds on its own.